Change is scary, okay? We know that as leaders. Part of that is because people are often involved in at least 3 change initiatives at a time, okay? That's a lot of change. Now, what we know is that things don't change, people do. So if we want things to change in our organizations, we have to make sure the people are willing to change. There's a model we can use to help ourselves be more successful in the changes we're trying to make. And as leaders in businesses, if we cannot get people to change, our organizations won't either. So let's take a look at a model we can use to make sure change efforts are successful. This is a model that we can use when we're trying to make any kind of change. We want to grow the business 20%, we want to get into new markets, we want to hire 50 employees, we want to shift the culture. Success is in the middle because that's what we're looking for. Success is going to look very different depending on what your goals are. The 3 things we need are vision, leaders, and an environment. Now, when we talk about vision, we are talking about why we're here and where we're going. If I, as an employee or as the leader of the team, if I don't see the end result, if I don't see where this is going for me, and I'm not bought into that, I don't really care to even help you get there. So the organization needs a vision, it needs a purpose, but every individual in your company should have a vision for where they want to go and know their purpose and see that it lines up with yours. Leaders, when we're talking about leaders here, we are not just talking about knowledge-based leaders. So you could be a CPA firm. Leaders are not the people with the most accounting knowledge. You could be an IT firm and they are not the people with the most knowledge on data analytics and coding. Leaders is both technical as well as those soft, critical business skills. They say things don't change, people do. So we need our leaders to be able to change and grow and adapt as well. And then finally, we have the environment. Now, the environment is critically important. Environment is what goes on every single day. What are the things, the habits, the processes, the procedures that are going on that we're probably not even aware of, right? It's just kind of how things are. What are your meetings like? I don't know. That's part of your environment. If the environment is that everyone shows up 10 minutes early, everyone shows up 10 minutes early. Maybe the environment is we look at the PowerPoint and we read the slides. That's part of the environment. So we need all 3 of these things in order to be successful. There are some consequences if we only have 2. Let's say you have a rock solid vision, you know where you're going, you know the purpose, and you have awesome leaders to get there, but you don't have an environment that supports it. Well, all you've done is a big fat waste of time. Because you've got people who are ready, you have them fired up to go, but the environment they're in doesn't support it. We could also have a rock solid vision, and we could have an environment that supports our goals, supports where we want to go. But if we don't have leaders, this is what we would call unattainable, okay? It's never gonna work. You have the right environment, you have the vision, but we don't have the people to lead it. Remember, things don't change, people do. We need our leaders to be driving change. Finally, we might have rock solid leaders. We might have people in place who are willing to change, can inspire and can motivate. And we've created this environment where it's supporting, but we don't have a vision. And if we don't have a vision, then we have what we would call untapped potential. Okay, you have a rock star team and a rock star environment, but they don't see the big picture yet. They don't feel motivated and pulled by that vision. Think about a change initiative you're going through right now. Okay, where are you falling short? Do you have a clear vision for what the end of this year is going to look like for you? What does success look like? Do you have leaders? And not just really technical leaders, but do you have the people that can inspire and motivate and engage and encourage and help people along this process? And finally, do you have this environment that's supportive? We get to do a lot of work in organizations helping them to make shifts or to make changes. And what we find is that there is one of these three components which typically far lacks below the other two. Vision, purpose is getting stronger. That's becoming a more important part of what organizations are doing. Organizations are also investing in their leaders. They are helping people develop skills like resilience, critical thinking, the ability to communicate effectively, coach, and mentor. The hardest piece to change, and the one we see lack most often, is the environment. People will say, hey, we want to make this really big change. Go work with our leaders. And you could put together a leadership training program, a change management training, a sales training, a data analytics training. You could put together any kind of training you want. But what we know is that when a leader leaves that training, they go back to your environment. Imagine a fish, okay? And there's two fish bowls. Your fish bowl is full of Jell-O, okay? That's what they're swimming in all day long. Or I don't know, they probably can't swim in Jell-O, but like moving along in this Jell-O. Then we say, oh, we need to change. We need to do something different. So go train these people. So what happens is they hop out of the Jell-O fishbowl and they come into the training fishbowl. Now that fishbowl is full of water because there it works. So they can learn new skills and techniques and it feels good. It's like, this is working. Okay, awesome, great. And then at the end of a day or 2 days, you know where they go? Back in the Jell-O. And then as soon as they get in the Jell-O, they're like, wait a minute, like this feels a little funky. This doesn't work like it did just a second ago when I was over in that water. Well, forget it. I know what works in the Jell-O. And then they don't do anything differently. Organizations spend so much time focusing on their people and just saying, hey, we need to do this differently. Teach them how to be better coaches. Teach them how to be more effective communicators. Teach them more about data analytics or finance or sales or whatever it is. But they don't ever stop and change the environment. And until we change the environment, all of that other stuff becomes irrelevant. It's a total waste of time. And this is the biggest mistake we see organizations make when they want to develop their people, is they want to develop the people, but they don't want to change their environment. And unless they are willing to change the environment, all of the development they're doing on the people side isn't really going to do anything. Let's say you realize, okay, we've been pretty authoritarian in the past. We need to be a little more coaching, mentoring, inspirational versus do it because I told you so. We could teach those skills, right? We could get the people to change. Things don't change, people do. We could help the people to change. But we also have to change the environment. So we can't give them those skills and then send them back to the same old thing. We'd have to change the environment. We'd have to change what is the structure of a one-on-one conversation? What's the frequency? Where are they held? What's the agenda? Who leads them? Until we change the environment, the development or the people side doesn't matter. So again, what are you changing? My guess is that you have a vision for what you want, right? You know where you're going. If not, start there. That's number one, very important. Maybe you're already doing some work trying to change the people, right? Getting people to do things differently, think differently. Have you spent time on the environment? The environment is where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. So if you are feeling frustrated with change initiatives right now, maybe your team is feeling frustrated with change initiatives, take a look at this model. What are you missing and how can you address that specific piece? If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe below. We are constantly putting out content helping leaders to develop more successful organizations.